This isn't a democracy anymore, Karen declared, her manicured hand slicing through the air. Starting next month, every household will contribute 8% of their income to our HOA Community Improvement Fund. Non-compliance will be considered a violation subject to penalties. The room fell dead silent. You could hear the hum of the old ceiling fan and the soft clink of coffee cups freezing mid-air. People exchanged uneasy glances, disbelief spreading like wildfire. Karen stood at the front of the community center, blonde hair perfectly curled, pearls glinting under the fluorescent lights, looking more like a suburban dictator than a president of a neighborhood committee. "This is for our future," she added, smiling tightly. "If you care about the value of your homes, you'll comply." The arrogance in her voice made stomachs twist. It wasn't just the greed. It was the audacity. The HOA was supposed to handle trash collection and lawn rules, not demand a personal tithe. But Karen had always been power-hungry, and now she had found her throne. That night, the neighborhood group chat exploded. Some residents thought it was a prank. Others feared it was real. By morning, everyone knew it wasn't. An official HOA email landed in inboxes, stamped and signed by Karen herself, outlining payment deadlines and, most shockingly, including her personal PayPal link for temporary transfers. The audacity was breathtaking. Within days, she began her new reign. She walked around the cul-de-sac in designer sunglasses, sipping iced coffee, reminding people of their upcoming obligations. Her driveway now gleamed with a new silver BMW, and she even put up a banner near the entrance that read, "Karen's Community, Built on Unity." The irony was nauseating. Rumors spread that she had used HOA funds for cosmetic treatments and a trip to Florida. Her Instagram confirmed it. Posts of beach cocktails and spa robes appeared with captions like, "A little self-care for your fearless leader." That was the moment when Ethan, a quiet tech guy who lived 2 houses down, decided he'd had enough. He started collecting screenshots, emails, and photos. One evening, he met with a few trusted neighbors in his garage. Mrs. Dalton, the 70-year-old widow with a fiery temper. The Thompsons, who'd been fined last month for having the wrong shade of mailbox paint, and a few others. They all agreed on one thing. Karen had turned their neighborhood into a circus of greed. But they weren't going to yell or protest. They'd play it smart. Ethan hacked into the HOA's cloud drive using his admin credentials from a past IT project. What he found made everyone's jaws drop. Transfers from the HOA fund to Karen's personal account, invoices for luxury spas, beauty clinics, even a down payment on the BMW. He downloaded everything and stored it safely. "She wants a contribution?" Ethan said, smirking. "Let's contribute some truth." The group planned their move carefully. They would wait for the upcoming HOA fundraising day, when Karen expected people to hand over their checks. Instead, they'd deliver something unforgettable. The day arrived. The clubhouse was decorated with gold streamers and cheap plastic chandeliers, Karen standing at the entrance like a queen receiving tribute. "Welcome, my dear homeowners," she chirped, voice dripping with fake warmth. "Today marks a new chapter in our community's legacy." One by one, residents handed her sealed envelopes, each smiling politely. She didn't notice the uneasy glances, the whispers that followed her steps. When she opened the envelopes later, her smirk vanished. Each check had the same handwritten message in bold ink: "Refund our trust first." Karen's face turned crimson. She called an emergency meeting that night, furious. "This is insubordination," she shouted. "You all think you can humiliate me? You'll regret this!" But her threats fell flat, because the neighbors had already tipped off the local news about financial misconduct within a suburban HOA. Cameras were coming. Karen just didn't know it yet. The night of the HOA fundraising gala arrived with a strange kind of tension that hung over the neighborhood like fog before a storm. The clubhouse sparkled with rented chandeliers, glittering banners, and Karen's massive smile plastered on a poster near the entrance that read, "Leadership through loyalty." Residents arrived dressed nicely but hollow-eyed, clutching small envelopes that looked like offerings at a church they no longer believed in. Karen floated between them, wearing a glittering rose gold gown, her perfume heavy enough to choke a confession out of anyone. "Tonight," she announced into the microphone, "we celebrate progress. We celebrate what we've built together." Ethan stood quietly at the back, phone in his pocket, heartbeat steady. He'd spent the last 2 days preparing the final act, his personal contribution to community improvement. While Karen thought she was about to show a slideshow of her projects, Ethan had replaced the presentation file with one that told the real story. As the music lowered, Karen gestured to her assistant. "Tim, play the video." The lights dimmed, the projector flickered, and the first slide appeared. A screenshot of Karen's PayPal account showing thousands in transfers labeled HOA contributions. A ripple of murmurs spread across the hall. The next slide showed Karen lounging at a Florida spa, captioned, "Community leadership deserves luxury." Gasps turned to outrage. Karen froze, eyes wide, mouth trembling. "Turn that off!" she screamed, but Ethan had already locked the controls. The slideshow rolled on. Beauty clinic invoices, BMW dealership receipts, all traced back to HOA funds. Mrs. Dalton stood up from her seat and shouted, "That's our money, Karen!" Someone else yelled, "You said it was for community repairs." The noise grew into chaos. Cameras flashed. Local reporters, tipped off by Ethan's anonymous message, had arrived just in time. Karen lunged for the projector cable, but Ethan had prepared for that too. The slideshow was running on battery power. The audience was roaring, shouting for refunds, for justice. Karen's perfect smile shattered. She tried to defend herself, shrieking that it was a misunderstanding, but the evidence glared from the wall behind her like an unpaid debt. "This is defamation," she cried, but her voice was drowned out by chants of, "Refund! Refund!" Police officers arrived within minutes, drawn by the commotion. When Karen saw them, she tried to flee toward the exit, but Ethan stepped forward and handed over a neatly organized folder. "Everything you need is in here," he said calmly. The officers took one look at the documents and turned toward Karen. "Ma'am, we're going to need to ask you some questions." The color drained from her face. She started stammering excuses, blaming her assistant, blaming clerical errors, but the truth had already caught up. The next morning, footage of the entire meltdown hit social media, captioned, "Ho Queen of Greed." Within hours, it racked up hundreds of thousands of views. News vans lined the street. Reporters called her the suburban tax tyrant. By noon, county auditors arrived with official warrants. Karen tried to close her garage door when she saw them coming, but it was too late. They marched up her driveway as cameras rolled. Boxes of documents, handbags, and fake invoices were carried out while stunned neighbors watched. Her BMW was repossessed right there on the street. The tow truck driver even saluted Ethan before driving away. Mrs. Dalton raised her phone and whispered, "Justice, live on camera." By evening, an emergency HOA meeting was held, this time without Karen. The vice president, Doug, quietly announced, "We've uncovered over $180,000 in unauthorized transactions." The gasps were loud enough to shake the windows. The vote was unanimous. Karen was removed from her position permanently, her accounts frozen, her home under investigation. That weekend, the community threw a block party, not to celebrate greed, but freedom. Kids ran through sprinklers, grills smoked, laughter replaced tension. A new wooden sign was nailed at the entrance. "Welcome to Maple Grove, now 100% Karen-free." Ethan stood by the grill, flipping burgers while Mrs. Dalton raised a soda and toasted, "To honesty and to neighborhoods without tyrants." The crowd cheered. The camera panned over smiling faces, restored lawns, and the faint echo of unity returning. Meanwhile, on the local news, Karen appeared in handcuffs, mascara streaked, still yelling, "This is a witch hunt," but no one believed her anymore. The woman who once demanded money in the name of community had lost everything: her car, her title, her reputation, and the illusion of control she had built brick by brick on other people's trust. In the end, the only contribution she got was the lesson that greed always charges interest. Justice had arrived, late but thorough, and for the first time in months, the neighborhood truly felt like a community again.